in Grenada, in Libya, in Panama, in Haiti, in Yugoslavia, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, and many others. And now we are contemplating going to war again, perhaps in Iran. I was a professional military officer, so I'm not against all wars. I'm not against conflict when necessary. I served on 2 battleships, I served on 3 submarines. Since the Civil War era, I've had more military service than any other president except Eisenhower. So let me repeat that. But I think that the fact is that we should not go to war unless we meet the religious definitions of a just war. And I'll just outline those very quickly. First of all, any war should begin only as a last resort, when every other possible peaceful resolution of an issue has been exhausted. Secondly, the weapons used in a war should discriminate completely between the death of combatants and the death of non-combatants or civilians. Third, violence should be proportional to the injury received by the one who goes to war. And that would obviously exclude the recent policy of our country of preemptive wars. Third, the attacks should be compatible with the injury that has been received, and should be compatible with the endorsement of society in general, like was the case, I would say, with the First and Second World Wars. And the goal that we hope to accomplish with a war should be superior to the situation existing before the war started. Well, most of the wars that I mentioned earlier failed to meet these criteria. And I would say that some of them were completely unnecessary. Let's look at the word justice or humanitarian causes. Our nation is the only industrialized country on earth with the death penalty. And 90% of all executions are carried out in 4 countries: China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the United States. And we also now have the highest percentage of our people in prison of any nation on earth. When I left office as governor, only 1 in 1,000 Americans were imprisoned. And now there are 7.5 times as many on a percentage basis. And the death penalty and imprisonment basically affect poor people, minorities, and those who are mentally deficient. Well, another subject. Chicago in the past has had a Nobel laureate in 1931, Jane Addams, and her Nobel Award was given because she dealt with immigrants. I won't mention the fact that our country needs a humane and comprehensive policy for immigrants. Another major problem is the imposition of embargoes. This is quite often assumed to be an adequate substitute for war. But sometimes it's a so-called substitute for official peace. Bob Gallucci mentioned North Korea. I was in the Navy during the Second World War and during the Korean War. At the end of the Korean War, the United States and others imposed an economic embargo on North Korea with the goal of destroying as much as possible of their economic capabilities. And the restraints were designed to punish the leaders but in almost every case an economic embargo, like the one we've had against Cuba for the last 60 years, doesn't injure the leaders. It injures the people who are suffering under a totalitarian or abusive regime. And at the same time, it gives those leaders a chance to blame the United States embargo for the economic plight in which their citizens are embroiled. Well, I think we need to find a way, for instance, to feed the starving children whom I saw on my last visit to North Korea last year. At the same time, not exalt the leaders of North Korea. We now have in our country, for the first time in almost 50 years, no effort being exerted of an active nature to bring peace to Israel and its neighbors, or to alleviate the oppression of the Palestinians. Let's look for a moment at human rights. The United States was in the forefront with Eleanor Roosevelt representing us in the United Nations when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was completed. Since 9/11, human rights organizations, including Human Rights Watch, have pointed out that we are now in violation of 7 of the 30 paragraphs in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, including permanent detention of people who are not given the right of being accused of their crime or legal representation or trial. And we are one of the laggard nations now, as you know, in dealing with global warming. Well, I want to point out that the things that I mentioned to you are not designed to criticize my country, but to point out that within any society, even a great nation like the United States of America, with almost total personal security for our people because of friendly neighbors north and south and warm oceans to the east and west, blessed with a Constitution that guarantees our rights, there are still needs for improvement, needs to look at ourselves and say, what can we do as young students to prepare a better future? Well, let's consider what a superpower should be. It would be nice when my grandchildren and